Hey, hey, another week, another episode. Episode 13 of the Stomp Strong Show. I'm Stomp, and this is Sod. How are you guys doing this week? We hope very well. How you doing, Sod?
I'm doing good. Man, life is good for me. I can't complain.
I know you had a good Wednesday because I was with you all day.
Yeah, sure.
We took a 6-hour trip out to Conroe, Texas, and met Lan and Mike from Dissonant Arms.
Great.
And I was able to pick up a few pieces from there, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later, probably. And
we
that
veered
was
off on our adventure, and we found a guy, Dmitry, who is from the Ukraine, making AK-47s in the Ukraine, and now he lives in Houston. And I've been ordering. He works at Texas Shooter Supply. I don't know if he owns it or if he just works there, but I've been ordering stuff from them for years, but just didn't never been to their shop. And whilst me and Stomp were in Houston, we went to their shop.
Yeah, so we're leaving. It was like AK Heaven Day.
Yeah, sure.
So we leave like the most premier custom shop I've been to for shotguns, and then we go straight down the road, not within 20 minutes, to a Ukrainian guy who he did own it. He does own it, and they build all kinds of guns. And we pull into the parking lot, and Sod's like, "Hold on, man, this isn't like a Walmart."
Right.
And you would think from their website, talk about a web presence.
Sure.
He has every build he can make ready to go on the website. You call in, order the gun, and he builds it with his dude in the back.
Yeah.
And they trick it out, Cerakote it. They don't build the gun from scratch. They add on stuff.
Yeah.
They're not even customizing it as much as they're putting on everything badass from Russia or Ukraine or wherever he's sourcing.
Right.
He has incredible sources.
Right. Yeah.
This store was insane.
Absolutely.
I mean, name a couple things you saw that really impressed you.
Like they had a couple 45-round Bakelite magazines for the AK-74, which was so hard to find.
Yeah, I've never seen one. I've never seen one.
Yeah, like I've got a Bakelite magazines 30 round for the AK-74, but it was the first. Like you could put your hands on this, and if I wanted it,
he had
price,
he had everything. He had stacks of suppressors. I mean, just every suppressor you can imagine.
Yeah.
I mean, if you need a suppressor, definitely call What was the name? Because
Texas Shooter Supply.
Texas Shooter Supply. Yeah, this dude was badass.
Sure.
And he absolutely came up from working on guns to talk to us.
Right. Yeah.
He came up, and the sales presence was amazing. He had all the options. He had everything you could imagine with Holosuns. He stacked Sod up with a nice new Midwest Arms.
Rail for the AK-74, which was hard to find because the Russian Malat Vepr AK-74 I have, with the folding stock, they made the side rail sort of out of specs, so it was hard to find one that was going to was going to fit. And Dmitry had one that would actually fit.
And he was able to and he set it for him.
Right.
Like tuned it and then sold it to him. I mean, it was amazing.
Sure. Well, it was so impressive.
And it was a surprise too.
Right.
I mean,
to be able to meet him, and then plus, like all I'd heard was there was a dude, from the old Soviet Union that made AKs in the Soviet Union that was now here in Texas. And I'd heard about him, I just never met him. And then I get to talking to him, and he's like, "Oh, I'm from the Ukraine, and I've been to the Ukraine several times." Because with my Navy ships, we would pull into the Ukraine, a port called Odessa. I pulled into Russia several times, like Novosibirsk and Sevastopol and Yalta, and even Georgia, not the U.S. state of Georgia, but the Republic of Georgia, which is also a former republic of the Soviet Union. We pulled into Poti, Georgia. So I was like, there was a good chance that I was going to be able to relate to Dmitry and where the country he came from, because there was a good chance I had visited that country, unless it was one of the other ones that because there was some other smaller republics. But Dmitry worked in the Ukraine making AKs, and to have him in the United States is amazing. And just one day I hope to pick his brain on the story, like how did a AK
7 years. 7 years, right? He said 7 years, right?
I think he said he'd been in the country for 7 years. But
7
to make
years.
it all the way from the USS, the former country, the USSR, to where, they dissolve and it becomes Ukraine again, and then to make it from the Ukraine to Houston, Texas. Like, you just don't expect a guy like that to be, you know, in Houston, Texas.
And let's
what
talk,
a journey.
Let's talk about how he did that. So he comes here with a skill set.
Right.
7 years ago is when AK started really becoming popular, sort of.
Sure. Yeah.
Like when I first bought them, nobody bought them. Nobody.
Right.
You couldn't. Nobody. So it was like, and that was kind of a cool thing, really.
Right.
You had something different.
Yeah.
So he now comes to Texas. He's immediately into shooting. He knew everything you could talk about optics.
Right.
He was bringing up the old Soviet stuff. He was bringing up what he could get. He was pulling them out to sell them to us.
Right.
He had everything there.
Yeah.
It was amazing the amount of range.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then he's like, okay, I got Trigicon, but like this Holosun is where it's at. Like I would
Sure.
never buy this over this.
Right.
And then me and him are totally agreeing on that.
Mm-hmm.
And so he comes over with a skill set, and within 7 years, we think he's a Walmart online.
Right.
We really did.
Yeah.
We really were shocked
Right.
that it was just a warehouse.
Right. Like you wouldn't drive by it and find this place. You know, like there's a sign, but it's in a warehouse district. You know, like off the road. You know, like you don't even see it from the road.
It's the same thing
You
with
just had to know
distant.
it was
It's
there.
the same thing with distant arms,
Right.
even smaller.
Sure.
Even tinier. That's just 2 men in 4 stations.
Right.
And we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But yeah, this whole operation is the American dream. This guy comes over from Ukraine, has a skill set. Obviously, he works hard.
Yeah.
Obviously,
Sure.
he's a hard worker. His internet presence is premium. His website is premium.
Yeah.
And we got to talk a little bit about that
Right.
because we had a conversation and you were schooling me on my website a little bit.
Yeah, sure.
So we could transition a little bit right now. Might as well. So he goes from a 7-year thing. He comes in. His web presence is insane. And then you back it with the best guns in the world.
Right.
He's like selling high-end custom Dracos. He's taking Romanian Wassers and titsing them out as far as furniture. It's nothing for me to spend $800 on furniture for an AK-47. And people might go, what?
Right.
What? And I'm like, no, that's a really good long rail is $200. A trigger is $100. You're gonna have it installed for 50 at least. Maybe it's 100. Say a trigger is $200. Okay, so then you just keep going. I mean, you add on. The back end to make the back end of an AK.
Right.
Hold an M4 adapter, $74 for the adapter, $30 for the castle nut, $15 for the stake, $80 for the stock.
Right.
So that's $300
Sure.
right there.
And guns, like any hobby, you know, can get expensive, but you know, it is a hobby that, and we have a lot of fun doing it. That, you know, because like me and Stomp, we went Wednesday on our adventure to meet Dissident Arms and the Texas Shooter Supply and Dimitri, and then Thursday we went to the range and we're shooting
All day.
You know, and
It's 4 hours for me.
so it's not just, you know, a lot of times I think when people think of guns, they think of it just from a self-defense or hunting perspective. But like for me and Stomp, it's really like a sport. It's
Like a lifestyle.
It's a social. You know, like we're at the range laughing and joking because I think we mention every podcast we go to the Lone Star range in Converse, Texas. Best range I've ever been to, and you know, we're shooting the breeze and with Larry, who's a retired Marine, and Larry's helping Stomp with his scope
For hours.
zeroing in.
Off and on for hours.
Sure.
Between Larry and Aaron, or Will, and
Right.
the other kid. And then the one guy comes out at the end. I don't know his name. He's a little bit new. And he's like, Stomp, you're by yourself out here sighting that in? And I go, yeah, I'm having a hard time seeing at 50 yards, even with this 1x6 scope.
Sure.
I still can't see where I'm hitting.
Yeah.
And he goes, well, let's take it over to the 25. I'll put it in my phone and tell you where to hit on that. He goes to his phone. I'm not joking.
Right.
He goes to his phone. He goes 2 inches below the center.
Right.
I said, oh, what?
Right.
He goes, hit 2 inches below the center. We'll confirm on 100 on
Right.
paper.
Yeah.
Now, I've been shooting. We got there at 2 or 3, right? 3 times.
Yeah, I think we met at 3. Yeah.
We met at 3. I started shooting immediately. They closed at 6. It was 3 hours on my feet. We had been working on the gun the whole time. I'm slamming on the 12 gauge, going crazy on the 12 gauge.
Right.
Come back, get it all done. It's about to close. I got like 30 minutes left to shoot. I have not dialed in this 308 yet. I can't see. We just got it all. I just got a 308 totally tricked out by Dissident Arms. So I needed to adjust comb, all this stuff, and Larry really patiently, kind of like brought me into a new world. And he's like, listen, we got to lock this part down first, and then we'll come down around, and then we'll get the rear end set up. We just, you know, however he did it. And then, but it took a long time. And then we started getting everything down, and the kid comes in, I sight it in, and then I put 3 rounds in at 25 yards. And I can see.
Nice.
And I'm aiming for 2 inches below the center. And that's where I grouped. And he goes, you should be on the 100. Let's walk out some paper. And we only got like 20 minutes left. I had like 60 rounds. I'm like, I'm not walking out 100 yards right now. I'm whipped. I mean, literally. I've been back and forth 50 times. I'm whipped. I go, let's just go to 100. If I can hit the head, I'm confirmed. He's like, well, hell yeah. I go, okay. I go to 100. Bink. Headshot.
Nice.
And I was like, whoa. Now I'm actually on the scope. When I lay down on the gun, I'm actually on the scope, and I still need to learn more, right? It's the first time shooting. But man, I didn't tell you this. You know the dueling tree at 150 yards? I started playing with the dueling tree with the 308.
Wow.
And I was hitting 300 and watching it swing. And
That's awesome.
Because the 1x6. And you wanted to know what that 1x6 can do. On that 5.45, you're going to be playing with that dueling tree at 150. And you're going to watch. It was easy, and that's going to be no kick compared to the 308. I mean, I was hitting probably 3 out of 10 on the dueling tree. And 6 inches at 150 yards is not easy. For me, I don't know. It is a 308 though, but that Vepr is. It grouped it like they were all touching at 25 yards.
That's amazing.
So that Vepr is on. It was the trigger that was so heavy. You remember how heavy the trigger was? It was like 12 pounds if it was anything. I mean, it was. You couldn't shoot it. Because we're so used to the AOGs now. We're spoiled. I never understood trigger spoiling. We're totally spoiled.
Oh yeah, light triggers are so much nicer to shoot than, you know, like a heavy trigger. And you know, that's the cool thing about, like, you know, I've sung the praises of Lone Star before, but like there's so much expertise out there. Like, you know, Larry, who runs the range, you know, he was a Marine infantry guy that retired, and you know, he knows more about sighting a rifle and handling a rifle than like me and Stomp will ever know in our lives.
Ever.
But you know,
ever.
And you can go and pick his brain, or you got, you know, a 19-year-old guy like Will, who shoots the pistol better than I ever shot the pistol, and will ever be able to shoot the pistol. He's just a phenomenal talent with skill. That could just amazing shot. And then, you know, the owner of Lone Star, you know, he's a retired Army Ranger, so that you have so much expertise out there, and these guys will share their knowledge with you. You know, like you said, Larry spent 3 hours with you working on sighting this in.
Off and on. He would do his job. New people come in, do the tours. It was crazy.
Absolutely.
It was very cool, man. They're very selfless people.
Yeah.
The whole place
nice
is
folks.
very Texas, right?
Absolutely.
It's just very Texas. Very much like most here. He's just a selfless beast. But yeah, the dudes at Lone Star is fun. The gun. We might as well just talk about Dissonant and go into the trip a little bit while we're on it a little bit.
Okay.
The trip to Dissonant Arms was a second trip out. I went there the first time 2 months ago. And I was recommended from Clayco47, who's on YouTube. And he is probably the fastest, best shooter I know with an AK, period. And he's a kid. He's like 20-something, early 20s, I would say. And he's got a really nice YouTube channel. And he does competition AK shooting. And he's like, man, you know, like I was talking to him about my Lynx 12. And he was going, man, you know, you need to take that to Dissonant Arms. It don't matter what it costs. Get it. That's all we use. And I go, what do you mean? He goes, well, in the comp world, that's what everybody uses in AK matches, is a Dissonant Arms comp gun. And I start looking them up, and this guy has like Veprs that are so tuned that they cost somewhere around, we'll say $5.5 grand.
Right. Yeah.
And it's a deal.
Right.
It's a steal because the gun starts out at like 2,000, right, or whatever, 1,500. I don't know what he sells them for base,
Right.
but and then he just trims it down to nothing, takes it down the frame, trims it down to nothing. This is big boys, so much fun. Takes it down to nothing, trims it down the frame, and builds it up from a base, and it's so precise, so fast. They have multi-level choke tubes that you can put in, where they're putting down patterns like at this, like nothing, at like 15 yards, so they can go in these competitions. And what he did, Mike and Land are the two masters that own Dissident Arms. And what they started out was, this is an amazing story. I can't show you the interview I did because I didn't record it right. And I was off camera, and they were so busy, I didn't have time to set it up. And it's a really high-pressure place when you go in there. You feel it. You feel the tension.
They're doing a lot of work.
They're doing a lot of work, and they're under pressure. And these two men are killing it with a couple people working down the way for office staff, selling the guns. And when you go in there, it's a frenetic pace, but it's like that energy in that place is this how their guns run. And Clay was telling me, if you shoot this gun, you're going to be freaking out. And I've had two of these type of guns. I had a Sega in the past that I had a guy build in St. Pete, and I paid good money for a convert, and he put in a new puck system and all this stuff that had to be done, and it ran pretty damn good. It would run super fast.
Sure.
Okay. Years later, Lynx is a Chinese company that stole the Sega and Vepr design and added what they wanted to it. Lynx is made in the same company that the Type 56 Chinese AK is made in, and the Norinkos, and the Mac 90s, all the Sporterized, all of them come out of the same place.
And what's crazy about the Comblak weapons is, you know, like we talked earlier episodes about, you know, we both like the CZ75, you know, we like the AKs, but you'll see a lot of different manufacturers of these weapons because the designers in those countries just made the design of the weapon, you know, a national secret. But there's no, you know, there's no trademark, copyright. There's no, what do you call it? I think when you engineer something,
Patents.
A patent, yeah. So there was no patent. So you will see several countries that make AK rifles, and they're not paying, you know, Mr. Kalashnikov a dime, even if he was still alive. Or, you know, the guys that make CZ, you know, like Sphinx, IWI.
All kinds
There's
of
several
people.
companies that use the CZ75 design, and, you know, they produce it under their name, and, you know, like, they literally, you know, technically it's not stealing because it was never trademarked or patented, but, you know, it's like because it was a national secret. But it's their stuff that they're taking. So the Chinese are just taking the AK design, they're taking the shotgun
they've been
design,
making
the
it
rifle.
since the 60s, since the 50s, since the 40s. AK-47, right?
Yeah.
The Chinese have been cloning it ever since.
Yeah. Where, like, if you take the, say, AR-15 design, you're going to pay, your company is going to pay Eugene Stoner or his family some money for using that design, you know.
Unless you're in China, and then they don't care.
Well, you know, then it's an international thing. But, you know, like, even then, you know, patents and trademarks are, you know, there's international law. But China is just using what isn't trademarked. It's not patented.
And they don't even care either way. I mean, they'll sell you a Rolex that's pretty much better than a Rolex for a third of the price.
No,
no.
Nobody makes watches better than the Swiss.
That's very true. So we go to Disney, right? I drop off. I buy a rail from them online just to put on my gun.
Yeah.
Like, you can go right now to Dissident Arms and buy that rail.
Sure.
And it didn't fit. And I call him and I go, it didn't fit. He goes, okay, so the Lynxes are a little different sometimes. You want to send it to me, I'll fit it and install it free.
Nice.
Or you can come up and I'll do it. You can drop it off. And I go, where are you? He's 3 hours away. I go, I'm dropping it off.
Cool.
We'll get and then I look at his competition package. His competition package is $400. He takes a shotgun that has no tuning and he tunes it all up. He replaces all the parts. He does a lot of polishing, He makes everything run slicker than shit, and he puts an AOG trigger in it, and that's totally tuned. It's not just a regular AOG; it's tuned. So when you get this gun, I'm saying it's a 3 pound. I'm looking at the shotgun as 3 pounds, 3 pound trigger, and I mean, insane fast, insane fast. 10 rounds before the third one's even hitting the ground. All of them are out of the gun. I mean, it's crazy fast, and I shit. So I had the old one, my guy, or I got it tuned in Florida, and it wasn't this because they didn't have this trigger package. Yeah. They didn't have all this stuff available for the guns then. Sure. They would just tune a puck, a couple springs, and they would make it run as good as possible. This is a tuned gun. Right. This is not. He hands it to me. He goes, "Listen, are you going to be putting high brass through it?" Almost nobody does. He basically did not want me to shoot high brass through it. Yeah. I go, "I'll never put high brass through it." He goes, "Good, man. Don't ever touch it. It's fine forever." Right. And I go, "Oh, okay." Sure. He's like, "Don't touch it." Right. And I was like, he throws it to me, and we get in the car and we go home, and I have, I'll show it to you. It's this one here. So this is the shotgun, and then I'll get the 308.
And if you go to there's a video Stomp recorded of him shooting this shotgun at Lone Star Range just Wednesday, and it is amazing. Like, you know, like for me it was a paradigm shift because I'm used to shotguns like, you know, a double barrel. You shoot one, you shoot the other, or, you know, maybe it's a like pump shotgun.
Like a J clamp.
You shoot, you pump, you know, then you shoot the other. This is shooting off, like, I mean, it's a semi-automatic weapon, but it's shooting shotgun shells. I mean, it's like, oh my gosh.
And it's not shooting high brass.
Right.
It's shooting $6 a box.
Right.
25 rounds for $6. I mean, it's just so cheap.
Sure. To
have fun.
Right.
And the power is just insane. So let me show you what we're talking about here. So this is a Chinese Lynx that I think I paid $380 for. The gun.
Right.
Okay, I think I paid $380 for it like 3 years ago. I looked them up like recently. They're like $550 now. So the gun is just $550,
right.
And you can still find them.
Yeah.
Nobody knows what it is.
Sure.
When I showed you, you're like, "What's that?" I was like, "Dude, this is sick." I'm gonna break it down price wise. Okay, so the gun comes as it comes, right? And then I added the Magpul folding stock. So this thing comes over here like this, still runs with it. So now you have a pretty small package, right? And I just call this like a poor man's version of his comp gun.
Right.
But we'll talk about numbers because it's not $5,000. This is 100. This is 100. The tuning package is 400. The rail was 200. He fitted it to fit, so it fit. The little Slate Industry thing here was $25 plastic. This was $100 from Carolina Warriors, but he sells the same one.
Right.
So he has this at Dissident. This was $100. That's it. So you know, 500, 400. Let's do the math. 900 plus the back end 100 plus the so that's 1,050 plus the rail is 1,200 plus the thing. So 1,300 and we'll say $1,400. And you got fire.
Right.
I mean fire. I think I probably emptied that mag in a second and a half. 10 rounds. I mean, I'm pretty fast.
Yeah.
They don't let us shoot fast on the rifle range side. They can't stop me as long as I can control this. Yeah. When you watch that video, it's dead nuts on.
Sure.
Easily controlled. So this is my, this is probably the sexiest gun I own, man. Just the way this line goes, all the way down, just flat. I mean, I can't tell you how much I love this fucking gun. This gun is just so insane. And look, it's got the scope rail on it. So this one doesn't come with everything you want. The Lynx makes a 12. Lynx makes a Lynx 12 comp version with no rear sight, and it has a little pick rail here. So you put a red dot on it.
Right. Nice.
Right. And this has a bolt hold open feature back here, which they normally don't have. So you can get that one for the same price, I think. So he has those. You call up Dissident Arms and you start talking about what you want, and you can say, "Hey, I just want a Lynx with a tune package," and just call him up and say, "Hey, I want the Stomp Strong package." Let's just call it here now.
Nice.
Just tell him I want the Stomp Strong package. He'll have to start buying these. He'll get mad.
Sure.
He'll get mad. Right, he'll have to start buying these Magpuls because he puts a whole rear end on that's totally adjustable.
Right.
Usually, right, on the 5000 model, you like the same rear end I'm going to show you on my 308. That's what, it's just insane what they do to him. He also takes this off on his model, makes it bare minimum, so it's as light as possible. And if you feel this, Assad, I mean, feel how light that is compared to a regular AK.
It's very impressive.
It's a very light gun for
it is.
Even with that brake is all aluminum, so. Just a very, one of my coolest pieces, obviously. Just super fun, and I don't know if you can, I mean, I don't know, so let's see here. I mean, that's maybe 2, feel that trigger.
Yeah, that's
2 maybe?
Maybe less.
I was going to say 3, but that might be 2.
Right.
Not actually firing it.
Right.
It might be 2.
Maybe.
This is the 308 from Dissident Arms. And this is just going to be this is just like this, probably the sickest gun I own. This is a Vepr 308. And you know, when I called him, I called for the comp package for this, and it's not as expensive because he's not replacing all the springs and stuff. Right. The tune package for this is like $200. It's like a trigger job, total trigger job, and then he like tunes it all, like polishing and all that stuff. So when I handed him this was a Vepr, Robinson Arms Vepr from 2004, with that crazy heavy polymer furniture from 2004, and I just wanted the rear end built so I could use the scope. You remember when we were shooting it? Nobody could shoot it. Right. We took this hunting a few times and plinking, and I spent $500 or $300 in ammo and never hit anything with it. And that sounds funny maybe, but when you're shooting 308 so fast, it's exciting. Right. But you're not really hitting nothing because I don't have any idea how to use this thing. This is something new to me. This apparatus here is a brand new thing for a Stomp. And it's going to be new for Sod. He's getting into this too. This is a 1x6 primary arm scope designed for 308. They make them for 7.62, 308. I think it's the same one you would buy for your 5.45. Right. So this is the same setup you could buy. I got this from Robski. Okay, so, but I couldn't sight in on it. And now the way I have this set up, and I know it looks all wonky back here, but this is where it finally got to me, where I was comfortable. Shit. Where I was comfortable. Okay. This is finally where it got to me, where I was comfortable. This rear end assembly is very robust. What I want to kind of point out is anything they're doing there at Dissident Arms is designed for competitions, so they're not putting anything plastic on your gun. This is all tied in metal. Everything back here is metal. This is not. This is super robust. And then he custom fitted this rail for me from RS Regulate, and I called him later to see if he could put a new rail on it for me. And this took him a long time to get this to fit and get everything straight, but it's just super clean. Yeah. And then he put a cheese grater on the top. Cute. Isn't it? Yeah, I mean, it's just the perfect accessory, I think. And this is 308 not loaded, guys. 308, and you know, last week's shot, I went from not being able to do it. Moose, stop it.
Oh, he's good.
Oh, he just fucking. Yeah. Always, when he's on, he's on. I went from not being able to hit anything with this 500 rounds to I took like 50 rounds to go sight in. It's very hard to buy ammo now. And I shot like 30 rounds set up and then 3 rounds on and then maybe another 40 rounds, another 2 mags. So maybe I took 100 rounds and I'm hitting a 6-inch target at 150 yards with that and loving it. Come on.
Well, little trick with dogs is once you find their sweet spot, they're your buddy forever. Yeah. So it took me a while with Moose to find his sweet spot, but if you rub his chest,
he will love you.
He's gonna love you forever. You know, so he knows every time I come over, I'm gonna rub his chest, and it's like, oh, and his leg will start kicking. He's down.
He's a really this is my sweet pea right here. This is one's a 155 pound, and he just does everything with me.
Right.
And we'll say he's the crazy one, and then you got the real nice one down here, Blue, and he pretty much stays out of the way pretty much. But yeah, Moose is part of the regiment, and you know, like I was saying, you start putting some money into these guns, and then all of a sudden you have something that's way different. This gun, with these upgrades, is basically what they're. You know, I don't know how he did it, because he is pretty much the only guy I know in the States that are doing it this good. Right. And he's mimicking exactly what the Russian teams are doing. Yeah. But I think he's doing it better than they are, because the Russian guys, I don't know if they're using like the cheapest shit you can buy ammo-wise. Yeah. Every team in Russia is state-sponsored. So they're going to put ammo in that's state-sponsored. So they're probably going to use pretty good low brass ammo. I don't know, right? I'm not there.
Sure.
But to get a gun that shoots as fast as this does is insanity.
Oh, absolutely.
Super, super fun time. And so that was my week. And then what else did I do? Okay, so it's been 3 weeks since the bike wreck. You weren't here last week. That was the second week of recovery. Last week I did 35 miles, and I think this week I did about 30. So I did about, 70 miles since the bike wreck. The knees healed up. I've been riding all over the place. I found 2 people on Facebook to ride with. We call ourselves the Misfit Trail Riders, Trail Misfits. That's it. I made a group. It went from 3 people to 4, and we're getting together and riding when we can and having a blast. I'm really liking the bike, and I like knowing I can die on it. Right. Because I'm not doing such stupid stuff.
That's good.
But you know how that one line I ended on and almost died on? I do the one to the left of it. I've done it like 10, 12 times now successfully. And he's muscling in on you, son. He's about to jump in your lap. Yeah. That's when you know. Yeah. This dog gives the best hugs out of any dog I've ever had. He crawls on and just lays there. So what have you been doing? How you been? You been doing anything physically? You got your dog walks in?
So, I walk my dogs because, I have my pit bull and my English bull terrier. And we keep walking. I don't walk them as much during the summer here in Texas, because a little known thing that some dog owners aren't aware of is like, you just can't walk your dog at 1, 2, 3 in the afternoon.
You cannot.
Because the concrete is so hot, it will literally burn their paws. Where they're getting, first, second degree burns.
Yeah, I hit Moose up so bad that he stepped in on the road, and dude, he jumped up like a deer.
Right, yeah.
Landed back on the road, jumped like a deer again.
Yeah.
Went off the road, started limping, and I started crying.
Yeah.
I realized I killed my dog.
Right, yeah, you heard him.
I heard him.
Yeah, right.
So then I had to tie him to a tree, get my car, go to him. It was like a rescue mission, dude.
Yeah,
I'm off the highway now.
Right.
We get all the way home. I'm not trying to... This is just crazy. This just happened 3 months ago.
Right. Yeah.
We get in the car. I get home. He's not limping too bad except on one foot. I go, okay, I'm not going to lay down.
Right.
I'm not going to act like it. I'm not going to act too much of a big deal. If he's real burned up in an hour, we'll go to the hospital. Yeah. There's time. It's like 1 o'clock. Right. I'm about to take him. Yeah. I rape him down with some Vaseline, and then now we're on his feet. Right. There was plastic stuck to his foot. Right. It melted. The 2 steps he took. Right. He landed on some type of plastic that was so melted when he landed on it, it formed to his pad. Right. When I hit it with Vaseline, it came right off. He was done. He was only on there for, half a second. Yeah. Right. That's how hot it was.
Right. So that's why, so in the winter, I walk my dogs in the morning. I walk them at lunchtime. I walk them at night. Where in the summer, the pavement gets so hot so fast. I'm just only walking them at night, really. Yeah. Around 10:30 at night, give the pavement a time, to cool down. And so, but when I'm not walking my dogs, what I do is, in my backyard, I play fetch with them. So they're getting constant exercise. So they're doing a lot of sprints because they run after the ball or the stick or whatever I'm throwing for them. They have a blast with it. So spending a lot of time with my dogs.
That's badass.
One of the cool things about, I retired from the Navy, and it just really got me out of the rat race of constantly doing a 9-to-5 job or you know, long hours of work. Where it's like now, it's like I hang out with my family, I hang out with my dogs, and then I run my Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu school. So, you know, like I wake up in the morning. They used to tell me, man, when you retire, you're gonna be waking up at 5, 6 a.m. just like you were in the military, but except you're just not gonna have anything to do. It's like, oh no, they lied. I wake up around 9 o'clock every morning, and that's usually because my dog starts licking me in the face. It's like, hey man, let's get up.
Me and Saad can routinely text at 2 in the morning. Yeah. It's not a problem at all to be talking at super late, and I'm not working right now either, so I have the luxury myself. What's weird is you bring up the go in the backyard thing. We just got back from a little vacation 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, and we boarded the dogs. Right. So the dogs were around all kinds of animals, and Moose didn't get no like demerits or nothing. Nice. Because the Moose can be pretty aggressive, right? So. Right. I'm like, man, I'm going to take him to the dog park when Beth left for a week, so I had him all to myself. Sure. And I started snatching him up at like 4 o'clock, and I go to the dog park. One day we go to the dog park, there's a dog way bigger than Moose. Way bigger than Moose. Right. I'm not talking about big. Moose is 155. This dog was like 200. It was a Newfoundland. Huh. And I seen him when I drove by, and I was doing some recon to see if dogs were there. Man, I went home and snatched up Moose so fast. Because he always is like sort of a bully. Right. Like Moose wants the ball, he takes the ball. Yeah. Moose wants to go through the door first, he goes through the door first. So I'm like, oh, there's a bigger dog out there. I'm gonna go get him. I'm gonna go get Moose real quick. Let's go play. Let's go have some fun. We put him in. Moose was a total gentleman. Right. The big dog came up. They played together. Right. He played with all the dogs. There was like 6 dogs, right? Nice. I was like, oh, sweet. So he didn't go in there and just muscle everybody. So my dog's a total bully. If there's someone bigger around, he chills out. Nice. But if he's the biggest, he's the boss. There you go. So I take him every day after, right? No dogs ever. You know what there is there, though? 400 tennis balls. Huh. This is great for a dog that wants to kill everything. Right. So me and Moose figured this game out. I throw the ball, he grabs one, comes back, I pick up one on the ground. He'll never give me his ball. Right. So if I have one in my hand, I start bouncing it. Right. He has to let go of that one. Exactly. Bam! He goes for... So there's like 40 balls around me at the park. Yeah. I've been throwing the ball, a little sidearm, looking like a retard because I ain't got no shoulder. I'm just like winging it. Like Beth comes, sees the deal, she's throwing the ball now. Right. The whole time, Lou Dog is totally a brand new dog. Yeah. He's running around. Your veterinarian... I almost cried when I told him on the phone. I go, thank you so much for this medicine. Sure. You have woken a dog up that's been asleep for a year. He's running around the park. Right. I turn the water on. He's trying to figure out how to get the water. Eventually, he figures out how to drink from the spigot. And you know when the dogs drink from the spigot, they get real happy? Yeah, so now Lou's playing in the water. He's rolling around in the mud. I've resigned to the fact that Henrietta is just going to be a fucking mud trap all year. The back of my car is just toast. Sure. Do not buy my car used if you don't like dogs. There's just no way you're going to avoid it. There's 300 pounds of dog back there at least 4 hours a week. Right. Like Beth is just yelling at me about it. It looks like a fucking mud bath, but I don't even care at this point. Right. So Lou is just killing it, Sod. He's killing it. That's awesome. It makes me so goddamn happy. Right. The fucking dog's running around, rolling in mud, taking the ball from Moose. Moose is laughing at him. They're playing in here. Right. You can see now he's way more animated than he's been. Absolutely. You get the right meds for a dog, and goddamn, they can wake up.
Because for those of you that haven't followed the story, I think we talked about it in earlier episodes. Is the vet Stomp was taking Moose to, not Moose,
both
Lou.
But yeah, he would.
But had diagnosed him with cancer, so we thought he was going to die within a matter of weeks. You know, and because we thought that was his problems, and so it was a total misdiagnosis.
Total.
And then, because Lou didn't die, you know, but he's still lethargic and stuff. And then me and Stomp got to talking. I'm like, well, why don't you take him to my vet? Because I've been with my vet for a long time, and they're just really good people at the Converse Animal Hospital. I'm like, come check them out. And because I trust them with my dogs, and they've done good by them. And so Stomp took Lou, and
yeah, dude, it was so crazy. I mean,
so what did it? It's not cancer. What did it turn out to be?
She doesn't know if he has cancer or not, but he definitely has hypothyroid, and he needed some medicine. It was like $75 to take the lab work. It's like $8 a month for the medicine, $20 a month for the medicine. and it was $75 to go check it again to see if his levels are right. We're gonna find out any day what his levels are.
Nice.
But she goes, he might have cancer. I mean, I'm not seeing that. I'm seeing the hypothyroid and anemic bad.
Right.
So you need to give him this, and we do.
Yeah.
And he woke up like 3 days later. She said in a week you'll have a new dog. She was right.
Absolutely. That's
so
cool.
Dude, and I'm not trying to talk shit about this one guy.
Right.
But I've been around. I have made his practice part of my exercise routine. I have rode my bicycle around this dude's dental practice 3 or 4 times, looking at the square footage, looking at the
dental practice. You mean
veterinarian practice. Looking at the square footage, looking at his 3rd-story office, looking at the acreage of land and all the beautiful fixtures, and this motherfucker cannot diagnose hypothyroid. One of the most common things in the fucking world to diagnose.
Right.
And he is living, and I'm not talking any shit. Easy to figure this out, by the way. I live in Shirts.
Right.
I am not going to one in Shirts.
Right. Nice.
Easy to figure out that this dude is making a lot of fucking money testing for cancer, potential abnormalities, when you can maybe try some hypothyroid medicine for $8 and not charge me $1,800.
Right.
You know what I mean? He's really lucky he's fucking walking, man. I really do want to see him get into his car one day when I'm on my bike to have a talk with him outside of the place. I don't really want to talk with him. Right. I do want to talk to him. It's
right. I bet he doesn't want to talk to you.
I want to talk to him. I just don't want to do it like around people.
Sure.
Does that make sense? I want to talk to him.
Right.
He needs to hear me, but I can't do it when there's fucking like CCTV and shit. Sure. You can do it from the outside. Right. But I don't want people around thinking I'm a fucking nut when I'm fucking going off on this motherfucker.
Yeah. Right.
I'm not going to touch him or nothing, but he deserves to hear from me for fucking sure.
Yeah. Right.
I'm dying to see him walk out to his car one day when I'm riding around at 7 o'clock, figuring that's about when you get off, motherfucker.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
The dog didn't move for a year.
Right.
It's not the money.
Sure.
It's not the money.
Right.
I thought I had to kill my dog for a year.
Right.
Not a year. For 4 months.
Right.
4 months.
It was a long time.
It was a long time.
Right.
It was too long. The dog seems to be fucking okay now.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you.
Right. Yeah, it's crazy.
Pisses me off. Right. Really does piss me off.
But I think, the moral of the story is whether you're talking about, when you talk about health, whether you're talking about your animals, or even yourself, if you go to a doctor or a veterinarian and you get a diagnosis, and it's like, I don't know, get a second opinion. If it doesn't feel right, if it doesn't seem right, get a second opinion. Of course, that person isn't interested in you getting a second opinion. But sometimes, that's what you need, because somebody finishes first in every medical class at med school or vet school, and somebody finishes last. But they don't put that on the certificate. Like, this was the best student we had, this was the worst student we had. You may be going to the vet where it was the worst student.
He's definitely the best businessman.
Sure. Maybe a great businessman.
He's a great business. He might be a pillar of this community.
Right.
I don't know.
Sure.
But he's got a nice establishment, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But he ain't got a nice diagnosing. So, this dog didn't deserve that.
Absolutely.
He's a bull mastiff. They're not known for being crazy active, but he does deserve to have his life.
Heck yeah.
He does deserve to go out on all the hikes that me and Moose have done, or at least try them.
Yeah, absolutely.
At least go to the dog park. It's just amazing how much better he is.
Yeah.
And you can see maybe his stomach goes away soon. It's going down a little bit. So yeah, we're probably going to hear a lot about dogs and AK-47s, but that is our life.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and
knives,
and it might get redundant, but whatever.
Sure.
So the dog thing's important to me. Having a good vet that I can trust and I've never not trusted a vet, man. I worked at a veterinarian, and then I went to one that was my boss's longest time and best friend in competition vet. I went to him immediately after mine retired. That guy was around, and then I've never had a problem with veterinarians. They've always, I've known the hookup where I was at, and now thank you. knowing you saved my dog for, you know, who knows.
And that's the cool thing about when you move into a town, you know, like you need to meet locals that can tell you, hey, this is where you take your auto to get fixed. If your AC's down, these are the guys you call. You know, if you got a plumbing issue, these are the guys you call. You know, but like when you just come into town, like you move from Florida to San Antonio, it's like, well, okay, you know, who do you call for all these things? Well, you know, you can look them up, Google, you know, nearest vet or nearest auto mechanic or nearest AC repair guy, but you may get a good one or you may get a crap one.
Yeah, and Google reviews aren't everything that are they're stacked up to be.
Sure.
You know, Davin wants to come in and talk just about Google reviews in business one day. Oh. The guy from the pizza shop.
Yeah,
and
very cool.
and how that affects people and how people can slam you or not.
Right.
And how it turns political. And he brought it up a very good point. And I think that's a great topic for conversation one day.
Absolutely, because Google reviews, because I do my company's website, you know, and so I'm very in tune to the Google. They have a formula, you know, it's proprietary, so they don't tell you exactly what's in the formula. So you get on the first page, because when somebody looks up Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu San Antonio, they're only looking at the schools on the first page. Maybe they'll go to the second page, but most likely they're calling somebody on the first page. And that applies to whether it's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, auto repair, AC repair, car dealerships. If you're not on the first page, you're wasting money on having a website because nobody's going to find you. So you have to figure out how do you get to the first page. And one of the things that will help you get to the first page is getting these reviews. So that's why you'll see companies, like you're going to a business and it's like, hey, you know, would you leave us a Google review? Because those reviews are part of their mathematical formula that will get you to the first page. It's not the only part. It is one factor. In fact, I just bought a mattress last Saturday. And I went in and so I bought the mattress because, you know, they say every 10 years you get a new mattress. So I'm like, okay, well, you know, I've had it for over 10 years. I'm going to go get a new mattress. And so I go get a new mattress, and the guy gives me a card. It's like, hey, please review our business on Google. And so, you know, you could see that company was in tune to the fact that, man, these Google reviews mean something.
Yeah.
And, you know, like, and so, of course, the business wants good Google reviews. And then there'll always be somebody out there that ain't, you know, they'll send in a nasty Google review. And sometimes, you know, it might be one of your competitors because, like, the person's only done one Google review.
Right.
And that one review is, you know, a bad review on your business. And, you know, it's one of the things that comes along with business because it stinks because, you know, you're like, hey, you know, you saved up your life savings. You know, this is your dream, open up a business. And then, you know, like, somebody who's, you know, got nothing, you know, don't understand business, just has a bad day, a bad experience, or they may even leave a review for your business, but they was mad at another business. They just didn't take the time to make sure they left the right review for the right bad business. And it's like, oh, now you got a nasty review. It stinks.
You know what's so crazy is like me and you were in the car the other day, and you bring up my website, and you're like, Stomp, there's no phone number, there's no way to get a hold of you.
Right.
It's like, hold on, man, you got a nice website, you got a nice header, you got all this shit, but I can't see anything.
Right.
There's no info.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm looking at it going, huh?
Right.
Well, damn. I don't get no calls. Right. I got a phone number. I got a website.
Right.
He's right? So here's the problem. You like for me, we come up with this business like 5 years ago. Right. The whole idea started. I had a couple nights that didn't fit my hand,
right.
And then I started noticing there was a problem with ordering knives and getting knives. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, okay, so then I had like 3 or 4 knives, and then I was like, well, what if there was a middleman? And I represented makers that you knew there wouldn't be problems with.
Right.
And then I started slowly building. I would get a little bit of doTERRA money, and I would take that money every month, and I would buy like 3 knives.
Sure.
And then I would do that for 4 or 5 years. And the idea was to be a middleman seller, have 100 knives for sale at all times, so someone could call and get a custom immediately from this or that maker. Right? Because you can't get them like that way. You have to go call the guy and make an arrangement and wait a year sometimes, or maybe 3 months or whatever. Mm-hmm. And the idea was strange, but it was innovative, and the makers don't mind because I'm only looking for 20% margins.
Right.
So if I'm bringing a sale to them for 20%, they can do that. And so you start building ideas, and then Beth spends a whole year making a website. So I save up money I buy for 3 years. Beth spends a year making a website, and we launched 3 years ago. And it goes from no sales to a little bit of sales to a little bit of sales, and now maybe. And when I say this is a part-time business, this is very much a part-time business. I'm selling maybe 4 or 5 knives a month, and I have maybe that many in pre-orders going out being made. So like 4 or 5 sales a month. It's nothing. It's not no money, but it's starting to be known for people calling me up for more and more knives. I'm realizing I have way too many knives to represent a knife show. When I go to a knife show, I sell all the time. People don't buy from me because I'm not the maker right now. Once they realize they can talk to the maker, get any knife they want through these makers from me, and there's a middleman, that's how I'm starting to be known as bringing in the orders. Like you're calling me now for orders. You tell me you want something. Somebody else called me for a scimitar the other day. It took me 3 weeks to find a maker for a scimitar, right? So, and it was 3 different makers actually. It went from one guy to another guy to another guy. And I have to call in a month to see if that's still happening. So now I'm tracking these orders. I have an Inglorious Bastards knife out. I have a scimitar order out. I have several sales this week. I had 3 going out in the mail last week. So we're picking up, right? So no phone number. The whole time. The website's been active for 3 years. We don't have a phone number on it. So
or an email address.
Or an email address. So these are rookie mistakes that you have to learn from. And maybe now I understand why a little bit. And now I get the Google reviews. I have at least 30 sales, 40 sales. I can get 40 people to go in and say, "Hey, Stomp really treated me right." And I don't have any of that. So little things you can learn from one businessman to another, and we're just rubbing off on each other in a car. We don't talk business necessarily. We talk, "Hey man, you want to go to the range? Are we podcasting? What's going on? Are you coming back? When can you come back? Is your shoulder? Have you got the MRI?" Those are the questions that we're doing, right? And the MRI finally got made through to the place. We're going to do it this week. I called for scheduling at the base, so they're not charging me. So we find out this week on that. So it's interesting how I think it's good if you're a businessman or trying to do anything. Like me with the mountain bikes. I'm hanging out with Akemi. I'm hanging out with Alex. I'm hanging out with Drew. Right, so now we got 4 people in the riding group. So now I got 4 people helping me on my bike when it's down. Now I got 4 people telling me to go, "Hey, go slower. Don't do that one. It's too much." It's just not me and Akemi not knowing each other that well, going for the first time. Now we're in a few rides in. I'm starting to learn. Now I'm wanting to go see a mountain bike clinic and take classes. Same thing with you. We're going to go train with Travis Haley. We're exploring our hobbies more. We're learning, right? I have to do that with the business, and learn business that way. But this is new to me.
The deal with business is like, if you're a large corporation, it's like you just hire everybody to do something. But if you're a small business, maybe the ideal, if you had the money, is you hire somebody professionally to do your website. You hire somebody, to professionally do your accounting. You hire somebody to professionally, do your taxes. Hire somebody to do your payroll. Hire somebody to build things out, but the problem is small businesses don't make money like that. You have to figure out okay, what things do I need to pay somebody else to do because I can't do, and what things can I figure out and do myself, so I do my website. I learned how to do it. I actually learned how to do it in college when I was getting my master's degree because I had to design a website as part of my class, and so I learned how to do it then, and then I did it for some friends, and then when it was time to open up my own company, I was like, oh, I'm not, would a professional website designer do a better job? Absolutely. But there's a cost for that. Whereas for me, I figured out how to do it. I update it all the time. When you send an email, it doesn't go to some company in another country to get a response. No, it goes to me. I answer. Or if you call on the phone, it doesn't go to some call center. No, it goes, me or my wife. We answer the phone because it's our cell phone.
Right.
And, the same thing, like when it came time to do taxes for the business. it was like, you know, people were like, oh, you should get a CPA. It's like, you know what? I got my master's degree in, you know, in healthcare administration. I got a bachelor's in business administration. Like, I've got a lot of training.
Probably figure out taxes.
I've been doing my personal taxes, you know, since the early 90s. I was like, I can figure out how to do these business taxes. And so that's what I do. Every year, I do my own business taxes. You know, there was a learning curve, but if you're interested in doing a business, the more things that you can figure out that you can do yourself, you're going to save money on it. Just like when we was building the floors a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I was just about to say, you couldn't have a better plan.
The ideal would be hire a professional contracting group, and this construction crew comes in with a crew of 15, 20 people. They're done in a day or two. It's perfection. But that comes with a cost. You know, so what we did instead is we found an expert that was also a friend in a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. And he flew out from California, and he's like, if you have the laborers, you know, I can tell them what to do, and we can make this all happen, and we can lower the cost. And so the guy's name is Jason Yusuf. He's a Carlson Gracie senior black belt located in Irvine, California, an amazing jiu-jitsu fighter, but he also builds these floors for the Fuji Corporation. And so he flew out, and my students, Stomp being one of them, along with probably
30,
up to 20,
30 people.
30 other people.
30 people.
Including a slew of teenagers.
A lot of kids. Which was the best part because we can't do, like, I mean, the only person that was on the ground was Dayton. He's like super monkey, like.
And he's young.
He's monkey.
Yeah.
He's monkeyish.
Right. Yeah.
Right? He's a little bit of a monkey.
He's very flexible. Yeah.
Very flexible, right? Monkeyish.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Dude. All the groundwork I did, I just pushed the springs in. I just because of my weight, right? But that's just lean over. But putting the little caps in, I mean, it's detailed. Yeah. There was 1,000 caps. There was 50 springs per fucking piece of plywood. 4 parts to put in per spring. Right. You know, it was a lot of little work.
And so as a business, I saved a lot of money because my customers, who are also my friends, so they're my customers, they're my friends, they're my students. They're like, hey, we'll come and help.
It's a weird little tribe you made.
Sure.
It's a family thing. Right. Like a small, like really positive cult, I say. I don't even know, like everyone goes out and does like stuff on the weekends and stuff. Everyone's hanging out. Right. You know what I mean? It's like people are having surgery and talking to each other for months and making sure they're okay and stuff on the sides. And at least I am, right? I mean, I'm friends with all these guys.
Right.
You know, I've turned it into a little side family, you know what I mean?
Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, for me, is not just a martial art. It's literally a lifestyle that I'm doing, my wife is doing, my son, who's a San Antonio police officer, he's doing it because it relates to his job. My daughter, who turns 13 this week, bless her heart, she's doing it because there's bad people out there. And it's like, okay, you know, because she takes piano lessons too. And I'm like, we'll do your piano lessons, but your parents own a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu school. You are going to be trained just in case you have to ever defend yourself. Because I don't want my daughter to depend on the chivalry.
That's it.
I guess there's certain English words I'm not so good at.
You got a great accent though. You can say it any way you want and people don't care.
So I don't want her to depend on the chivalry.
That's it.
Of some man. I want her to be able to defend herself.
It's a self-confidence thing too.
And matter of fact, that was I almost forgot. We're going through the podcast, but the question of the week.
Oh, do you want to do that? You want to wait till next week because we got a solid. It's a good time right there.
Oh, okay. I'll answer it now. So, so the question of the week came up from Bam and I think Jonathan, and they was talking in this little group chat about the philosophy of like, is it worth your time to train Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu just once or twice a week? Because you're not, you know, because there's people out there. I got students like Anthony. He probably comes to 10 classes a week. You know, like he's coming at lunch at 11:30. He's coming back at 7 p.m. Very motivated. And, you know, Dayton does the same thing. Jonathan, throughout the summer, was doing the same thing. But some of my guys and ladies, they just don't have that time. So they can only come maybe once or twice a week because, you know, they got lives. And when I say lives, I mean not that the people that come every day have no life, but, you know, they have other priorities. Like they're married, they got children, they've got careers, they've got other hobbies, you know, like Stomp is mountain biking, you know.
And broken shoulders.
Right, you know, like injuries come up, you know, so how often do you need to come for it to be worth your time? And I really correlate it to something Dear Abby said in a column in a newspaper probably like maybe 30 years ago. But somebody had wrote her a letter and they said, hey, I'm 30 years old and I'd like to get my college degree, but I can only go part-time, going to night classes and weekend classes. And by the time I get my degree, it's going to take about 10 years and I'll be 40. You know, is it worth it to do it? And what Dear Abby said was, in 10 years, you're going to be 40, regardless. You're either going to be 40, what you have to decide is you're going to be 40 with a bachelor's degree, or you're going to be 40 without a bachelor's degree. So there's never, it's too late, or it's going to take too long, or, you know, is it worth it? It's absolutely worth it. So if you're going once or twice a week to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu class, will you make as much progress as somebody that goes to 11 classes a week? Probably not. But you can make that a quality. I'm going once or twice a week and I'm making steady progress. And you're going to get a little bit better. You know, so don't compare yourself to another student who may have more time or different priorities that they can come more often. You know,
this is
because
your journey.
Right.
This is your journey.
So don't compare your journey to somebody else's.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
this is such a weird topic, right? Because sure. It took me 10 years. It took me 8 years to get through JC, a 2-year degree, and I went every semester, summers too. Mm-hmm. I have really extensive learning disabilities, so on paper it's hard for me to do school. Mm-hmm. And then we get the regular USF, and it's all about criminology, and I got through those 2 years in 2 years because I'm not doing the basics.
Yeah.
Okay, so I get my, and I want to be a teacher, but I can never pass the stats class. Mm-hmm. But I knew that. Right. So I knew I could go in criminology. Right. I knew I could backdoor it if I had a degree in criminology because they don't have people that can handle these kids I want to work with. Right. So it doesn't matter how you get somewhere. Mm-hmm. I wasn't ever going to be could you see me as a cop? No. I was never going to be a cop. Ever. I have a degree in criminology.
Though it may have turned out well. Who knows?
But what I'm trying to say is I was wanting to be a teacher that bad. Right. I figured out how to backdoor it no matter what. Sure. 10 years of college, crazy learning disabilities. I know how to teach kids that are the most troubled learning, hardest kids in the world because I went through all those classes. I've seen it. So taking the 10-year route on anything might be the smart way because you're not. It's a natural progression, whatever that is for you. It's organic. Like Coach Al Davis from high school used to always chop. My last name is Trout. No wine for his time, Trout. No wine for his time. No wine for his time, Trout. And he'd walk away from you. And I'd be like, what? Right. He was just saying no. Right. That was his way of saying, you ain't strong enough, you ain't bad enough, you ain't done it, it's not happening, no. No wine before it's time, Trout.
No wine. That's interesting.
So your jiu-jitsu journey, mine with the broken wing, I was going twice a day with the shoulder until I punched I had the shoulder before, and then I got in the wreck, and there's no going after the wreck. Right. That's 2 injuries in a row. Sure. 3 will be on your don't need to be on your dime. Right. I got to get the MRI, so no wine before it's time. There's nobody that wants to be there more than me, but it's going to take another whatever. I got to wait more. Right. I've waited years and years and years to do it. It's not going to stop shit. Right. Even if you're not around, it's not going to stop my journey. It's not about you. It's I'm just happy that you're teaching me. Right. It is about you, but it's really my thing, right? So when I move, you're gonna have to help me find a place or recommend or you see what I mean? Right. There's no time limits.
Right. It's no comparing you to somebody else. It's just be the best you be the best you that you can be. Yeah. Don't try to be Stomp, don't try to be Sod. Be you, and then fit the things that you want to do in life. Like if it's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and you can only go once or twice a week, then go once or twice a week. Yeah. You know, and you are going to steadily get better. You know, will you get better at the same pace as somebody that's going every single day? No. But you will be a better you. So try to be better today than you are tomorrow.
Absolutely.
You know, I mean better tomorrow than you are today. It's just like when me and Stomp work at the range with Larry, I'm never going to be the shot that Larry is. Larry is an amazing shot. You know, he shoots the rifle better than I will ever shoot it. And I learn a lot from him when he shares that knowledge. So my comparison can't be like, well, you know, no matter how hard I try, you know, I'm never going to be that Olympic shooter. Or, you know, it's like, that's not what I'm going for. I just go to have a good time. And I like the self-defense aspect of shooting, just like I like the self-defense aspect of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I don't train Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu because I'm thinking, man, somebody's going to fight me one day and I want to be ready. I mean, that's an extra benefit, but that's not my motivator. I go because I love the chess match of trying to figure out how to defeat somebody that's bigger, stronger, and faster than me. That's the chess match. You know, or how do I make this work, you know, to where the outcome is favorable for me.
But that is a mature look at martial arts.
Right.
You've been in it forever.
Right.
I bet you in the beginning it was, I don't want to get my ass kicked. I want to learn how to do this.
Yeah, like, well, because when I started, I was just boxing.
That's
so
what
in the
my
80s,
point is.
I was boxing. It was like, I wanted to knock people out.
But I can tell you right now, the reason I want to be good at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is because I want to be able to destroy people.
And
if it happens, I haven't been in the fight. I haven't been in the fight since I'm bouncing. I'm just scared of everybody.
Yeah.
So I don't want to lose.
Everybody's motivation will be different. Like your motivation.
I'm there not to lose if I get in the fight. Right? I'm just saying for me.
Once or twice a week, you can meet your
Yeah.
goal of being able to defend yourself in a street fight easily. You know, where if your goal is to win major jiu-jitsu competitions, then you're going to have to go every day. More. You're going to have to train a lot more.
Yeah.
If your goal is to be a black belt, well, you can go once or twice a week. Maybe it's going to take you 20 years, but you know what? You're going to be alive in 20 years anyways. Hopefully, you know, knock on wood. You know, like the average male lives to 78 years old in the United States. So if you are less than 78, you still got time. You know, keep going.
Yeah.
And if you are 78, that's just the average. You know,
don't let fear of doing something keep you from doing it though. That's for sure. Don't let your size or activity level or none of that. Like when Mary wanted to talk about it, that's the first thing I told her. Sure. Don't think about your age or fear or ability. It has nothing to do with that. Zero to do with that.
Just get better than you are. Yeah. Try to be better tomorrow than you are today.
Just progress
and
a little bit.
Just keep trying to make that incremental improvements. And it's just like, you know, I think Stomp, man, a few months ago he had said, man, I think me and Beth are going to take some dancing classes. Now, if he takes dancing classes, is he going to be the next Fred Astaire? Well, probably not. But he could be the best dancer he can be and have a good time at it. Like, why not?
When I used to, as a big dude, I would get hammered and like to dance and did pretty good. And I would never do it not drunk. And I know chicks like to do that. So I said, hey, Beth, you want to take some classes? You got to find something with your girl to do too, man. Even I don't want to be Fred Astaire, but I don't mind the idea of touching her and hanging out and doing anything that she wants to do.
Right.
So if she wants to take a dance class and I can do it with her, I'm doing it.
So if it's fun and it's healthy, because dancing, you know, people don't think of it, but you know, it is a workout.
That's my jam right now.
So
the movement, anything movement. Yeah. You can get me to do anything right now. And you want to go hiking? I'm down. You want to bike? I'm down. Yeah. You want to go somewhere? I'm down. I'm I'm doing that type of shit 3-4 days a week. Right. And 288 this week, by the way, lowest ever.
Congratulations.
That's like
amazing.
6th grade weight, man.
Wow.
So
that's crazy cool.
288.
Wow.
Yeah, dude. I'm thinking 230 is very possible, man.
Right. Yeah.
I'm thinking 230, size 32 pants, or what I'm looking for, and man, just feeling super strong, man. And look at that. I'm not lifting or nothing. So
for those of you that haven't followed us, we're talking about a man that's gone from 600 pounds.
Yeah. 288.
And is now 288.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, is he going to be Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Hell no.
No, but he can be the best.
Baddest stomp I'll ever be.
The best stomp strong guy he can be. You know, like, you know, be the best Robert Trout you can be.
Absolutely.
And don't get caught up on how you compare with somebody else or their pace, their life. Be happy in your own skin.
Yeah, man.
And you know, like, I gotta tell folks that are interested in weight loss, I'm like, dude, don't lose weight for cosmetic reasons unless that makes you feel better. You know, like if you want to, if you feel like, oh, that's gonna make me feel better, then okay, lose weight. But if that helps your self-esteem, then well, okay, lose weight. Mostly when I advise people to lose weight is for health reasons. Like, okay, you know, your heart's designed to power a Chevy Chevette, and you're getting it to power a semi truck. It won't power it with that engine for long. Like, so you're gonna have to make some adjustments.
You might not remember what you said to me in the car. You said some interesting shit to me in the car today, or Wednesday. I was going, yeah, man, it's been really weird being off this year. I haven't worked since November. I got this substitute job coming up. At least I'll be making something.
Right.
And then I said, if it wasn't for the grace of Beth hooking me up with the rental income we have, I would be sunk. Mm-hmm. And you go, you've done more progress this year in 7 months off than you could ever get paid for.
Right.
And I go, excuse me? And he goes, dude, you just put 5 years on your life easy. Mm-hmm. And yeah, you took off 7 months of work, but you've never worked harder probably at anything.
Right. Yeah.
And I was like, dude, that's a really crazy equation.
Sure.
That's a really...
By taking care of your health, you may live an extra 5-10 years.
Yeah, it's a really crazy equation.
Sure.
And the best part is the more I love myself, the more I live.
Right, yeah.
The more I can do. Right. The more I can walk into a bathroom and not worry about anything, about sitting in it or whatever. Right. The more I can go sit on a chair and not sweat it. The more I can... You know, like Beth's going to have a problem when she gets on the bike with me. She's not going to be able to keep up with me. Right. I'm going 10 miles at a clip now. Awesome. I did 8 miles on the...
But you'll slow up for you. It'll work out.
Absolutely.
It'll work out, yeah.
And she'll get there in 2 weeks and be out riding me.
Maybe.
I just got 2 months on her.
Sure.
As soon as she gets up to riding, you know what I mean? It's just an amazing... And I cannot tell you how important it is in what I've done in my life to lose this fucking weight and not give myself too much of a hard time about being a fat ass for 40 years. That's all over. Right. That's the tiny hours of the morning that really eat me up. Yeah. But I can't think about that too much because I'm having way too much fun now. Yeah. It doesn't matter what it was up to last year or the year before. Exactly. It does not matter.
Be the best
the past, I don't know if I could have done it without the past. Right. So there is no losing the weight without stopping alcohol. There is no losing the weight without understanding sugar's evil as fuck. It's absolutely my mortal enemy, sugar. It's like kryptonite for everybody, especially me. Yeah. You know what I mean?
So it has no nutritional value.
There's nothing in there. It literally is kryptonite.
Yeah.
It's you can be a Superman without sugar. Absolutely. It literally, I'm turning myself into a Superman from years of not eating fucking bullshit.
And it's crazy addictive.
It is crazy.
You know, where like salt, they're like, you should limit the intake of salt, but you need salt in your diet to survive. Whereas sugar, if you never eat another grain of sugar for the rest of your life, you'll be fine.
Yeah, and we're talking about bananas too. You
no
can figure it out otherwise.
Yeah.
My point is the jiu-jitsu journey, the weight loss journey, the AK-47 shooting journey, the scope journey, Dayton's journey, whoever's asking the questions journey. Yeah. It's all individual. Right. It's all about taking time to love you a little more.
And
what's important to you?
And grow at your own pace.
Yeah.
You know, it's sort of like when I get up in the morning, you know, I put on my clothes, I shower, I shave, you know. I try to look the best I can before I step out into the public. But I know that, you know, I wasn't born with one of those Brad Pitt faces or Tom Cruise faces. I'm only going to be so pretty, you know, but I'm still going to leave the house looking the best I can be.
Yeah.
You know, will I ever be as pretty as Brad Pitt? Probably not. Or whoever the pretty guys are now. I think my daughter thinks it's the Jonas Brothers. Will I ever be that pretty? No. But I will clean myself up and, you know, groom myself the best I can be. And I'm happy with that. Be the best that you can
Absolutely.
be.
Absolutely. Have pride in what you do have. Right. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter. Like, ain't no... Dude, I'm always gonna look strange, man. When I take my shirt off, there's a pound of skin hanging. It doesn't matter. Who cares? Yeah. I can do more than I ever did ever.
Right.
Ever. Yeah. So that's what counts. That, you know what counts is Beth gets to see me improve. Mm-hmm. She gets to see me take it serious.
Right.
That's what's important to me.
Yeah.
That's really the only thing that's important to me. It's a weird thing. Sure. Weird to say that.
Love is
but,
wonderful.
But that is what's her opinion is the only thing that matters to me. Yeah. And so that's what counts to me. And it's nice for her to be able to see that. And you know, it's nice for me for showing like Beth has never seen me drink alcohol.
Yeah.
You've never seen it. Right. There's people that know me that could never imagine me not doing it.
Sure.
To this day.
Right.
8 years off of it.
Right.
And I still have friends that I've never ever hung out with since I quit drinking.
Right.
That used to be drinking buddies. They're dying right now, by the way. You know who I'm talking about. If you see this, get help, buddy. You need it. You're fucking dying from it. So
what we know for a fact is that the people that make it late in life, their 80s, their 90s, hundreds, those are not people that are in excess of 300 pounds. These are not morbidly obese people. You know, like, these are not smokers. These are not heavy drinkers. Like, you got to take care of yourself.
Yeah.
And if you take care of yourself, you know, you're not only possibly adding years to your life, but you're adding quality to those years.
Yeah, I'm getting younger, man.
Right. Yeah.
I'm getting younger in every aspect.
Be better than you were yesterday.
Absolutely. You know? I think we got to end with that.
Sure. Yeah.
I think we got to end with that.
Absolutely.
Good? All right, episode 13 down. We'll see you next week.